I know there is abuse out there, and most of the time, the physical abuse is very obvious. And most of the time, the physical abuse is usually from the male counterpart towards the female, even though that's not all true and it's just a generalization. The fact is that that's what kind of is the most. And when it comes to abuse, the word is thrown around. It goes towards that harmful physical part, and then recently the terms like psychological abuse, where a lot of people abuse other people psychologically, but it's still a very male towards female kind of issue, or at least we think. But is it the other way around? Do women, just because they don't put their hands on you, or just because they don't physically harm you, or just because they don't do some of the things that we categorize abuse under, is it still abuse when they, for years, belittle you as a man, talk down on you, just make you feel inadequate, make you feel as if you don't do enough, you're not good enough, just slowly working that into your psyche, into where you start believing that and you start becoming that, because it's a sort of a brainwashing where that sort of abuse is so under the radar that you don't realize that you're part of it until years and years later, a big event makes you wake up. Or some men, I think, live all of their lives feeling like they're not good enough because that's what is being told of them. So they just continue to try to do more and more and more, and that doesn't solve the problem. So I'm not sure if we need to revise what abuse is. And if we do, then we need to also add in the types of abuses that are under the radar. You can't call the cops because a woman just constantly just belittles you and hurts you and talks down on you and make you feel like crap. You can't call the cops and say, hey, she's abusing me. It's something that you have to get out of from under yourself. But when you are under it, you don't know that you're under it. You're just going through it, and you feel like, oh, as a man, I gotta take this. Like you gotta take all the abuse. You gotta take all the brainwashing, thinking that you're not good enough, because it's like, oh, I'm a man, so I gotta, I'm not gonna be crying over this. She calling me names, and she telling me this, and she telling me that, and she's doing, saying stuff to hurt my feelings. But I'm a man, so I'm gonna keep striving. And I think as men, we take that, we tolerate that kind of abuse because we don't see it as abuse. We see it as part of the territory. It comes with the territory, and it shouldn't come from the territory, because then you're in the wrong territory. If you get in this kind of abuse, like I said, I'm transcending the physical. I'm talking about just years of just constant, just brainwashing you, thinking that you're not good enough. Then how do you even reconcile that? Just because you didn't get your hands put on you doesn't mean that you're not being abused. And I think, man, it's not a sign of weakness to walk away from a situation like that, except most of our weakness come from not knowing that we're in that situation. We think that that's the norm, that's normal. Maybe we grew up in a family that kind of abuse was normal, where the mom was constantly just insulting the dad and making him feel less, and the dad took it. So we think that that's the way it is, that's normal. And it's not normal, because as a human being, you have some kind of value, you have some kind of worth. Maybe it's not worth it to that person. That means that you're in the wrong territory, So just wanted to bring these thoughts out because I feel like I've been part of this kind of abuse, and I'm not innocent in the fact that maybe I participated in that kind of abuse as well, and looking at my actions and so on. But also that just the fact that you made mistakes doesn't mean that that gives someone else the right to forever just trash you. You know, I think there's got to be a balance in the equation. And right now, everything is very heavily protective of the woman, and I think for good reason. I think for many years they have not been protected. They still continue to be victims of abuse all over the place. But I think we got to open the conversation into that men are also in the same boat, in a different part of the boat, but it doesn't make it any better. So documenting these thoughts, because I just think that they're important for me to realize, and also important for my kids, if one day they see this and they know, hey, this is what daddy discovered. This isn't acceptable. This is not cool. Don't ever let anyone brainwash into thinking that you're less. And that's a lesson there for me and for whoever it applies to. So.